because we're talking all about summer bags for mom, your mom bag, and how to figure out what you need to have in it so that your trips or impromptu plans are able to go a lot smoother. If you're new here, welcome. I would love for you to learn more about this community and listen to our previous episodes. If you are a longtime listener, it would be great if you can leave a review, whether it's an Apple or Spotify, or even a comment on YouTube. We so appreciate that. Now, today is all about having that go bag, that mom bag that you can just grab and go out the door. And going back about last summer, I had heard this concept and I really resonated with me because I was used to like grabbing whatever bag I could find and I was like chucking things in there and trying to get out the door really quickly. And usually every single time I was missing something that was pretty important. I was missing a key item or for one of the kids or a sensory item. And of course, we need to prepare when we are in family neurodiverse families. And I found that to be quite tricky just doing things on the fly. So when I created my own mom bag, it really streamlined a lot of things. I was able to be more flexible and more prepared for when it came to these different events. So first let me show you what I had purchased for my mom bag. And if those are watching YouTube will be able to see this, I'll describe this for those of you listening on the podcast. This is a large pink, very large and very a light pink, simple modern tote, and it's one of those they made out of plastic, and I can't even show it all the way on the camera, but it's very large and it's meant to hold a lot of items, and it has the holes on the side, similar to I believe Bog is a brand with the two G's that they have, or maybe it's Bag. I'm sure you can correct me in the comments, but is very similar but not as pricey and has held up well. It's a year now I've had this bag, and my kids have even carried it around as well, and I've filled it to the brim, both for summer activities and for fall and for winter activities. And that has worked really well. And what I love is that you can get so many different items to help organize it. There's pouches, you can get trays for it. It's just really flexible, which to me, neurodiverse family life, you need to have so much flexibility in everything to make things really work well. So first off, just a bag. You need to have a bag of some sort that you want to use. I like mine that it has hard sides. It doesn't cave in, so therefore I know it will stand up no matter where we go. And I can wipe the bottom if we go someplace like to the beach, or maybe we're going to like a fair or something and it's like dirty. It's so easy to wipe down and I'm good to go. Or if it rains, everything I have, most of my stuff is in pouches, and so then I don't have to worry about everything is wet. I just take it out, I just wipe things down, and then we're all good. So what do you put into the bag? I have a couple different categories, and the first one is just very pivotal and is sensory items. Now my sensory items, what I kept, some I kept in the car all the time because it was that needed, and others I only brought depending upon the need, the event itself. So having this mom bag has really helped because I've been able to pack those needed items. Now, what I used to pack and what I pack now is different because people change and they grow and their coping skills. So right now my sensory items are smaller, but everything that I've packed has a sensory component, as in is considering the sensory needs of the people in my family. So one item is just the sunglasses. With summertime, the sun is bright, and for some people, that bright sun can be very triggering. So having an extra pair, because you know someone's going to like miss one at home and not bring it, or they lose it on the trip. So sunglasses important. Also ear loops. We lost our last pair of ear loops, but they're in a little like white round container, and they're very small and they fit into your ear. And that has been wonderful for one of my kids, where sounds can just get too high or just too much, and it can bring it down. And plus, it fits so nicely and discreetly in their ear, people don't really notice that. So that is one I need to reorder up. And then also one that my one of my kids actually has right now is the ARK, ARK, is a sensory chewy necklace. So it's made out of silicone. And you can find this on their website and also on Amazon, ARK, ARK. But what I have liked about them is that it is made in the United States and the silicone is tested. And that's really important to me. If someone's chewing on something, you want to make sure it's doesn't have toxicity in it. I mean, you hear of kids who are swallowing small little like change of different items that come into like from different companies that are made overseas, and then it has lead in it, and they get poisoning. So I am particular when it comes to what goes into their mouth. But those different chewies have been very helpful, especially if your child or even adult is more orally stimulated, if they're making lots of popping noises, or if they are chewing on whatever random thing they can possibly find, like water bottles, pencils. That is a great tool to have. Now, also, I have is suckers. So I'm holding up, these happen to be Yum Earth, I think both brands. Yep, Yum Earth brand. And these suckers, I'm particular again when we put in our mouth, and so these brands are better. I mean, there's some that are even better than these, but I can find these at almost any store. And what I like is that when someone is really upset, one of the calming tools is either having like a thick smoothie, and they are using a straw and they're trying to drink from that straw, and that motion that they're doing of just drinking can be very calming. So suckers is another thing that has that same type of motion. And I can't have a smoothie in my bag all the time, but I can have these suckers there. I can pull them out if someone gets really upset and we just they need a moment, I can grab it. Now, of course, as a mom, I'm pretty good at figuring out like, that's attention seeking because you want a sucker, and they know that I don't just hand it out whenever. It's pretty rare, but if I need to, it's there. So think about what sensory items you need to have in your own bag. Okay, next I have protection, and so for protection, I do the mosquito spray, and this is one brand, Trek. The nozzle has been okay somewhat, but at least the smell has not been offensive, and that's hard trying to find sprays that work and don't make someone who is sensory challenged like really like feel ill, because they smell that mosquito spray, and if it makes them nauseous, because I mean some people, their smell sense is very strong. So it definitely, the sunscreen, the mosquito spray is important, and then sunscreen. This brand, I've used this one, and also Babo, B-A-B-O. I'm sorry, I have to keep reminding myself that those of you listen to the podcast, you can't see what I'm showing. So again, the mosquito spray was Trek, T-R-E-A-K, and then the sunscreen was Babo, B-A-B-O, Botanicals. I not a fan of spray sunscreen, but I have learned that using normal cream liquid hand or sunscreen on my kids has not gone well, because if you think about it, it's a thick material, and then you are stretching it and rubbing it in on their skin, and there's like a pulling motion, and for a lot of people, they do not like that if they have sensory challenges. So I have to go like with both a liquid version, and then I have the spray version. And the liquid version I'll use on their face, where the spray I'll use other areas. I have them hold their breath because I don't want them breathing that in. But that is again, everything I've chosen has all sensory needs included, because the worst thing is that you're outside and you cannot get the sunscreen or mosquito spray on your kid to save your life, because there is something about it. So I have found I really have to just diversify, and unfortunately there's some things that you just doesn't work out, which that's why it's great to go to events with other moms, because sometimes I'll see they'll have like a different sunscreen or mosquito spray. I'm like, oh, can I try that on my kids? And then I don't have to spend the money. I'm like, hey kids, like smell this, and like, oh, that's okay for you, like great, like, and then like maybe I'll put some on their arm and see how they react. So don't, like, definitely those moments we get all the moms together, like kind of peek in their bag and see what they have, because you might get some inspiration. That's happened for me many times. Okay, so number 3, med kit. I feel like it doesn't matter what time of year, I need to have a really good med kit. And I have here a red REI Hiker's First Aid Kit that has been passed down for the family. And in here, I have 2 different things. One is for injuries, and one is for sickness. The sickness one is more appropriate, especially in the wintertime when we are going on outside in the snow and outdoors, like that comes up. But it still does come up sometimes in the summer. But in my kit here, I'm showing, I have the brand NutriCare has bamboo Band-Aids, and that has worked really well for my family. I'll show you my little kit for those watching online. Here we go. And In here, I have the big and small bamboo band-aids. What I found is like one, I like the fact that they do decompose and they don't last like for 100 years in the landfill, which many of you might not really care about that. But what I do like is that these band-aids are not hard to get off. They will come off. I can put water, they can soak in the bathtub or even put coconut oil and that they can come off pretty easily. And if you have a child who I'm sure you've been there, or even for yourself or maybe even for your spouse, that taking the band-aid off is like World War III, then these band-aids are the ones that I just absolutely love. Also, I have in here a small little container for like just a little bit of like ibuprofen and Advil, like, and that's like my last resort for those. But I also have here is an arnica. Uh, if you guys are hearing noises, that's my homeopathic remedies. But I have this arnica bruise gel, so when there's people falling down, getting bruises, I can apply that pretty quickly. The homeopathic remedies I have are anything for bee stings, insect bites, to sunburn. I like having those around. And then I also have a for mosquito bites and bug bites, something to apply. So that is a majority of what I have. I have another little bag, and in here I have other medical tape. My husband prefers more heavy duty medical tape. And then I also have like a thermometer and a couple different items like to kind of clean wounds. But for you to consider, oh, one more item. I have this fear of poison ivy. And maybe you can identify with this, but no matter where you live, if it's maybe hemlock, poison hemlock, or a different plant, but there are certain things that I started thinking like, oh my gosh, if my kids are exposed to this, I have nothing to deal with this. And especially if we're on a trip, someplace more rural, there is no store for me to go to pick something up quickly. And so that could be a very, very hard day. So I have this for Marie Originals. I haven't tried it yet, thank goodness. But this is a poison ivy and oak soap. And I also have some homeopathic options as well for poison ivy. But now I feel a lot better when it comes to like exploring the outdoors. If we do get exposed, I have something to go to. But also for them, when they're dealing with mosquito bites, itchiness, like that can be very overwhelming and they're shut down for the whole day. So when I'm looking at these options, I'm looking at how can I have the least amount I bring, but it's the helping me for any type of scenario that could be out there. Now, next we have is like car and road snacks. So I have in here, I got this pink bag, and pardon the noise, I'm pulling out some chops, some different beef sticks, and I find those work well. Also, I've tried to stay away from sugary snacks when I'm doing road trips, because sometimes the kids will gravitate to that. But if they are really hungry, they will be eating the protein. So that's been my main one of having snacks. I do sometimes have bars, but this is like it's there no matter what. And so when I go shopping every week, I keep thinking, okay, what's my mom bag status at? Like, what is missing? Because I do want to have that beef sticks there. Now, for you might look at your different selections of snacks and say, oh, like that's not going to work, but maybe beef jerky does. Or you're looking at different bars that can work better for your family. You might want to consider getting a little thermos bag. Maybe that can be kept in the cooler or kept in the freezer, and then you pull it out before you go and you put your snack bag in there if you're bringing snacks that have chocolate in it, if you're in a very warm area. But having those snacks along can really help with the hangry moments. And then finally is hand sanitizer and hand wipes. And I have here this is a packet of Honest. I don't like all of their items that they sell, but this one here I was looking for something that was, if they're going to wipe their hands, I want to make sure there's not being wiping with something that is toxic, because especially if, again, that's personally important to me, but I also want to make sure they're wiping something that they're not going to have reactions to. Like if there's chemicals in there and then they react to it. So this has been the brand that I've kind of used, and they're playing in the lake and they're super dirty, and so they can, wipe their hands down. And then, I have a bottle of hand sanitizer as well that I bring along, and then we're covered, especially if we're at a porta potty and they don't have any type of necessary ways to sanitize and clean your hands. But the final thing, which is really important and something for you to consider, is the self-care item you can put into your bag. And I'm all about how do we take care of ourselves and while we're taking care of our family. And I have like old magazines that I really enjoy. And this one is Somerset Life. I'm not sure if they're still in business or not, but there's a couple magazines that I will purposely keep in the bag. That way, if I'm sitting there and maybe I'm had a stressful moment and I really need to kind of get myself from in enemy mode. Dr. Jim Wilder talks about this in his books, Enemy Mode, like where you just see people as the enemy. And I need to really just calm my mind down and get myself someplace else. That is a great way by having a magazine. There's nothing digital about it. You don't have to charge it. It's ready to go. If you're concerned about it getting wet because you're out in the rain, you can just easily get one of those document envelopes and put it in there. And think about what things would you like to have, like your own snacks. I'm guessing for some of you, you have health issues. And when that happens, finding snacks on the road can be even harder for us. I know when I go to different stores, it's very few that I can find that I can eat, and that can get kind of frustrating. So make sure you have your own snacks packed along as well. And then anything else that would help you, maybe you want to have some essential oils that are calming. But I find that sometimes when I'm bringing my mom bag along, other people are having fun, but mom maybe is not as much because we're looking at the logistics and the food and the planning and thinking through how long is the trip and do we have enough breaks and wait. Someone's starting to get overwhelmed because other people are making too much noise or making, popping sounds. There's all these things we're thinking about. So it's really important when we do these trips that we are having our own stuff along to help take care of ourselves because we're so focused on everyone else. And we need to find ways to also take care of ourselves. So I hope these ideas really helped you. A quick recap is sensory items, whatever that is for you. It could be heavy blankets. It could be the silicone chews that they can have around their wrist or around for their neck, a necklace. You're having like sunglasses, sun hats, ear loops, maybe suckers, whatever that would be to help that moment of sensory overwhelm, especially in the car when you're contained, right? Like that's important. The next protection, and that was sunscreen and mosquito spray, and I guess you can throw sun hats in that as well. Okay, third is med kits, and that is for the bumps and bruises and mosquito bites and sunburns, but also for sickness because those summer colds still do happen and they are a pain. So having that along as well. And then your snacks, car road snacks, for those moments when people are getting hangry and you need something quick to feed them until you're able to get to a place to get food. And then and then also the hand wipes and sanitizer so we can keep people from, especially my kids when they're younger, they could just find the most amazing stuff to get their hands into. I'm like, oh my gosh, you should not be touching that. I love your wanting to experience the world and check it out, but like we need to get you cleaned up ASAP. And so that having that along is great. And then finally, your own self-care stuff, your own snack, magazine. Maybe it's a book that you love and you're fine reading it over and over again. Whatever those items are that you have in your bag. And again, my simple modern tote is pretty large. I still fit a lot more in there. I'm still throwing in other stuff as needed. The impromptu made sandwiches, but at least I have all this stuff assembled. It saves me, I am not even kidding you, a good 30 to 45 minutes every single time because I know everything is there. All I have to do is throw in what is needed just for that day that's unusual. So I hope that helps you kind of plan to get ready for summer. Also, it makes it easier to go out and about with your family during summertime. I would love to hear from you. Like, what would you put in your summer mom bag, your go bag, so that you're able to be active and involved with your family?